Hello everybody, I'm Conquering History Games, and welcome back to part 2 of my Qing campaign here in Hearts of Iron 4 Kaiserreich, where we're going to actually get out of the first month with a little luck here. So we'll start up some new taxes. Tax collection in the Warlord era range from semi-organized to completely ad hoc. Even though most people resent the new taxes, enacting them through an established legislative body will hopefully mitigate some of the unpopularity, as a taxman is better than a horde of rapacious soldiers. This is going to lower our stability a little bit, but it's going to give us political power, and it'll definitely get us to the positive. By the way, I don't know if I went over this, but right now, because of the Peking Commission's influence level, we're at a minus 20% for our political power game. So it begins. The province of Anqing, long chafing under Sun's rule, essentially declared independence from the League this week. In a widely distributed pamphlet, Governor Chen Tian claimed that the Wuhu incident shows that Sun cannot manage this crisis and essentially abrogates him from any responsibility in Anqing. Some Zili generals have unilaterally begun to mobilize their troops against quote-unquote KMT excursions, though Wu rightly suspects their true intention is territorial expansion. Seeking to undercut their opportunity to invade, he declared a national state of readiness this morning to all Zili and Manchu generals, urging them to ready their troops for any possible armed conflict. Confused Zili troops have largely fallen into line with Wu, and any premature attack south was effectively ended before it began. Let's hope this keeps them in line. So we actually got some more war support, interestingly enough. Now, Zhang Cheng, this guy, a dog meat general, fun guy. We won't talk about him here. The position of Shandong Governor Zhang Cheng has always been tenuous at best. An erratic, violent man, Zhang previously held close ties to Zhang Zhuolin of the Fengtian government, though he had been kept loyal to Beijing through bribery and lavish commissions. It appears he has used the chaos enveloping the south, however, to cast us aside. This morning, a number of our tax collectors were halted at the provincial border, and spies within the province report he has carried out mass purges of Qing loyalists. Even worse, they report him making contact with Zhang Zhuolin and the Japanese. Damn you, dog meat general! Okay then, okay, here we go, here we go. Refugees flee League chaos. So this is where I'm going to take a position, and we're going to stick to it. With widespread unrest sweeping the League of 8 provinces, Governors Jin Yine of Henan and Zhao Yaonan have reported increased numbers of refugees flooding into their provinces. Though it started as a trickle, over the course of the last few days the flow dramatically increased, with whole families fleeing, expecting an explosion of violence and banditry. The governors have sent worrying telegrams after some of their men interviewed some of the refugees, indicating central authority within the League has collapsed far more than previously thought. Furthermore, they have requested additional food. Whoa! Oh my gosh. That was a huge sneeze out of nowhere. Okay, sorry about that. That just... whoa. They requested additional food and supplies to deal with the refugees. We will say who cares, and the stability gets lowered. Chen Tian, we're basically abandoning the League. We're just going, the League is falling apart. I'm not doing anything with it. That's what Wu is saying. Chen Tian sends a telegram. To the eminent President Cao Kun and Imperial Minister Wu Peifu, because remember, even though Pu Yi, I gotta stress this, even though Pu Yi's in the picture right now, it's Cao Kun and Wu Peifu who are actually running the country, okay? So that's who I'm making these actions as. I, Governor Chen Tian, humbly ask for funding for my troops. As outlined in the Constitution of our great nation, it is the responsibility of the national government to provide funds to provincial governors to suppress unrest. With the situation of Marshal Sun unclear, I have taken the responsibility of protecting the province of Anqing against bandits and leftist agitators. The telegram was delivered to Wu Peifu this morning from Governor Anqing, the governor of Anqing, Chen Tian. While the tone of the letter was very bold, it appears Chen has restored order to the province. Wu is faced with a choice: Chen would be a powerful ally, but he has a firm anti-concession stance. Supporting him in the long term would alienate Germany, whose support will be essential in the inevitable war against Japan. At the same time, taking a stance against Germany would undoubtedly endear Wu with the population. So we will refuse no funds for rebels. So it begins the Afghanistan war. Remember when Afghanistan was the first thing that happens in every Kaiserreich game? Definitely not anymore. Death of Wang Chengbin. Earlier this morning, Wang Chengbin, a senior member of the Zhili clique and major ally of... we should actually go over who that is. So it's this guy. Born into an ethnically Manchu family, Wang was one of Wu's earliest allies, helping him suppress Zhang Jun's abortive Manchu restoration in 1917. In 1923, he led the troops to surround the President Li Yuanhong at the Tianjin railway station. He took the presidential seal to help Xiao Kun become the president. In failing health, Chengbin has largely secluded himself from other Zhili generals, and many are concerned his death will expose deep divisions within the internal workings of the clique and the Harmony Association. Important note, founder of the Tianjin clique, which belonged to the early branches of the Zhili clique, with Wu Peifu's Luoyang clique and Xiao Kun's Baoding clique. Anyway, he's dead now. While his death in and of itself is a blow to our command structure, it reveals a worrying trend. Many senior Zhili military officials are of old age, poor health, or both, and the corruption endemic in our military prevents younger officers from advancing through the ranks. Unless a serious effort is made, our high command will soon consist solely of doddering, senile old men, terrified of adapting new technologies and doctrines. What about age brings wisdom? So now we've lost additional division organization, which is not good. But no war just yet. Okay. Okay. Another offer to Chen. Following our refusal of aid to Governor Chen Tiaoyuan of Anqing, worrying reports began to emerge that he has reached out to Zhang Julin, leader of the rogue Fengtian government to the north. Even more worrying is his use of a Japanese interlocutor to facilitate the conversation. Several of Wu's advisors are suggesting the Marshal reach out again to Chen with an offer of direct support for his rebellion, lest we end up with a Japanese lapdog right on our doorstep. Beyond just Japanese support for Chen, however, it also seems that non-intervention could lead to widespread domestic unrest. Many in both the opposition parties and the Zhili clique itself are itching for an opportunity to extend our control. In the chaos of the collapse, and already small protests in favor of Governor Chen's anti-concession stance have broken out across urban areas. Staying silent could result in the protests escalating, further destabilizing our already unpopular regime. It's too risky. It's too risky. And there goes the political power. Right now, Wan Dao takes over Shandong. This seems to happen more and more. I'm definitely going to play as him at some point, for sure. The esoteric millenarian sect known as the Wan Dao, who I'm not going to talk about at length here, I'll save that for when I'm doing that campaign, have reportedly taken over the Shandong province, ousting our erstwhile governor Zhang Cheng. You know what? I actually think... Yeah, okay, this is what you need to know for now. The Wan Dao are not an organized political party per se, rather a loose collection of inerrant preachers, prayer circles, and underground meeting houses. This party represents in game their influence within territory directly under Beijing's control. So it's I check it here. Do I check them here? Is there a way to... Yeah, it's a religious thing. That's all you gotta know for right now. The cult is isolated, and once the chaos to the south has stabilized, we may be able to attack them, though this could cause unrest within the sizable number of adherents the religion has within our territory. 1%, I'd hardly call that sizable. Sheng Qing Tingguo declared, less notable figure to newspapers, well known to the refugees of the Eastern China as the benevolent leader of the Wan Dao cult. This event symbolizes something brighter in store for China. Yeah. It's interesting. I'm not talking about it here. Alright, taxes are done. Time for an emergency meeting. Well, wait. Bloodbath on the Yangtze. That's the name of this. Despite their best efforts to deal with the influx of refugees, the governors of our southern provinces are overwhelmed. Following a province-wide declaration of martial law made in Hubei, Governor Zhao Yaonan ordered his troops to shut down all bridges and roads leading into the province from League territory and denying entry to all refugees. A large number of them, however, began to mass at a bridge over the Yangtze River, demanding entry. While this started peacefully, it quickly escalated into a full-scale riot as refugees began to pelt Zhao's troops with rocks, bottles, and other debris. Eventually, a group of men who had somehow armed themselves with stolen weapons began shooting at Zhao's troops, who responded by opening fire with machine guns. Those not hit by the storm of bullets fled, stampeding other refugees and leaving their friends and family dead or dying on the bridge. This grisly scene is being repeated up and down our border with the League, as mobs of refugees have started to force their way into our territory. Unfortunate news, we're losing political power. Austria pulled out of Italy. Interesting. Interesting. I think they did do some little changes out here in Italy. I'm not totally sure what. Okay, Wus Nightmare. This Wu. For the past few weeks, Wu Peifu's dreams have been terrifying. Tonight, he sees Beijing burning, the ghost of Sun Yat-sen stepping from a collapsing forbidden city and approaching a frozen Wu, just as he reaches his hand out to touch him. He is awoken by an alarmed official. "Apologies for waking you, Commissioner, but this is urgent!" He hands Wu a telegram before scuttling away. Linking back sleep, Wu opens the telegram. Reading the characters, his hands start shaking. His worst nightmares have become a reality. Sun shot yesterday PM, stop. Perpetrator unclear, stop. In coma, stop. Unlikely to wake, stop. Riots widespread, stop. Fleeing with gold and documents, stop. 2 hours later, Luoyang is a frenzied hub of activity. That's over here, by the way. Documents concerning Sun's more salacious dealings with Beijing burn in fortresses while a group of senior Zhili officials confer with one another. In an unprecedented move, Wu has invited several Manchu nobles, notably Pu Jie, to be present for the drafting of some form of unified statement in response to the assassination. So let's talk about who Pu Jie is. He should be here. There we go. I believe it's this Pu Jie they're talking about. This is General Asin Gyoro, that's the clan, remember? Pu Jie, born in 1907. The brother of Asin Gyoro Puyi, Pu Jie spent his childhood... I hope I'm not giving that too much of a French accent. Pu Jie spent his childhood as a playmate to his brother, who was notorious for his temper tantrums and pampered nature. A well-known incident recounted how Puyi threw a tantrum when he saw that the inner lining of one of Puyi's coats was yellow, because yellow was traditionally a color reserved only for the emperor. Following the restoration in 1927, Puyi attended university in Berlin, where he was given the nickname Peter by his classmates, as they found Puyi too difficult to pronounce. I feel that, bro. Despite growing up in the shadow of his brother, Puyi rarely envied the emperor, who was confined to pointless ceremonial duties and lacked much of an education beyond court formalities. Puyi, on the other hand, was exposed to the latest Western science, education, and culture. Dismayed by the moral laxness he found in Germany that sprung up following the horrors of the Weltkrieg, he returned to China impressed by Western science and industry, but wary of the libertine culture flourishing in Berlin. Furthermore, he was dismayed at the level of German control over the country, and especially despised the Zhili clique, whom he viewed as essentially holding his brother hostage. Largely resigned to a ceremonial position within the military, plots to one day help his brother return to the rightful position on the throne, with him serving as a guiding hand, of course. He is not married, despite rampant suspicion that the emperor is infertile. I actually don't know if he ever had children. Like Puyi didn't. He had lovers. I believe he had lovers, or perhaps I should call them consorts. But he had a couple of wives. Let me. I'm gonna look something up here. I'm trying to look up the family tree of him. Because I think they. Here we go. All right, Puyi married a Japanese woman. Yeah. Okay. Right, because that's the difference in this timeline. In our timeline, he Puyi, this guy, went to Japan instead of Berlin. I think he. Funny thing about Puyi, he actually ended up going to the Soviet Union like his brother, but got out of prison because they extradited him to China. But then he became a communist and became like a prop for them. And I think he also was an advisor on that movie about his brother, The Last Emperor, which frankly I think is a bit of an overrated film. Then again, it has been many years since I've seen it, but I thought it just dragged a little bit, and the writing is not as strong as people like to say it is. Anyway. Where was I? At the Nightmare. And God help us all, we're losing stability. Yeah, gosh, when did I watch that movie? That was years and years ago. I might have to watch it again. I might be judging it too harshly at the moment. Following our refusal of Governor Chen's telegram, a message has arrived from the new Marshal of the League, Qi Yuan. Okay, for some reason I can't actually select the league. There we go, because he hasn't actually popped up yet. But to the most auspicious Marshal Wu, I, Ji Yuan, request your aid in suppressing the rebellion in Nanqing. As you are my liege and commander, it is only proper that you assist me in my time of need. The tone of the request leaves many suspicious, as theoretically Qi should be able to easily crush Anqing and the KMT rebellion to the south with German aid. Okay, you see, this, they probably should have timed this to happen a little bit later, because as we can see, the left KMT has not actually popped up yet. He can handle this on his own, so we're going to lose a ton of political power because we just did that. The Imperial Navy flees north. Lacking any suitable ports in the north, the Imperial fleet has been based out of Nantong since the 1927 conflict. Right here. With rioting, civil unrest, and general chaos enveloping the city, Admiral Wu Renli, I guess we should put him in charge, has ordered the fleet to leave the city and head north for the small ports we control outside of Tianjin. The fall of the Nanjing docks also means we have lost what limited naval manufacturing capabilities we had. So, this is our new base. Alright. Emergency meeting of the... So we just lost 3 off-map naval dockyards. So that's how they represented it, which I think was a good way to represent that. Following the collapse of the League to the south, we have gathered nearly all senior Zhili line military officers in Luoyang. In Luoyang. As the meeting starts, Marshal Wu Peifu opens with a short statement. Fellow soldiers, the time has come. With the collapse of the League, we are for the first time since the Zhifeng War in a precarious situation. Every choice we make over the next few weeks will determine the outcome of China for decades to come. I would like to remind some, he says, glancing at the more hawkish members of the assembly, that intervention is not necessarily the most sound course of action. We need to weigh our options first before committing. The various generals nod in agreement and begin a series of discussions on the best course of action. We need to be careful. So deep in the hole. Ripples of Black Monday. While in the weeks following Black Monday, it appeared that we had escaped the worst of the damage. Over the last few days, German-affiliated businesses have been hit with supply chain issues and increased prices. While the economic disruption is nowhere near the scale experienced in Europe and the Americas, this is still a blow to our economy. So we're going to get Black Monday for about half a year. Market liberalism gets less popular, and so forth. The illusion of Qing hegemony shatters. So goodbye to the empire. The facade of Chinese unity, having held together for nearly a decade, has begun to crumble. Rising unrest in the League of Eight Provinces, the economic shock of Black Monday portending German re-entrenchment, and the inability of our government to effectively deal with the crisis has made one thing clear. Our monopoly on power is broken. We must now attempt to deal with the chaos. It's a madhouse. A madhouse. Uprisings in Fujian. There it is. There's the left Kuomintang. Go check out my campaign as them. One of 2 that I think I'm going to do. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do 2. While most of China and the world assumed that the Kuomintang were destroyed in 1927, League Marshal Sun has been fighting a low-intensity guerrilla conflict with remnants of the KMT since the end of the Northern Expedition in the Fujian area. Reports were censored from the press, and even Wu Peifu remained largely unaware of the true scope of the conflict, with Sun keeping all details tightly under wraps. With the current chaos in the League, however, the remnants of the KMT have re-emerged and declared a new campaign of national reunification. They have declared our rightful government illegitimate, calling us little more than a German puppet slaving to the whims of Berlin. We can only hope that the remnants of Sun's forces can put these traitors down. Despicable. Well, they're down there and we're up here. The Nanjing clique being destroyed, and things are getting wild now. We'll see what happens. Southern governors cut contact, with violence in the League escalating daily. The governors of Yunnan, Teng Jiao, and Guangxi, Chen Jiongming, have stopped responding to official government requests for information and updates on what is happening in their territory. They've long despised their government, and while this move is not unexpected, it represents a complete change in their official demeanor to our government. Many in Wu's inner circle fear that this heralds a complete collapse of our authority, and this morning news out of Jiangxi confirms these worries. Yan Jinshan, governor of Jiangxi, has formally denounced the actions of our government and was now being termed the Yangtze incident earlier this week, when Governor Wang Hua Qing's forces fired upon a mob of refugees, and proclaimed that Qing no longer had the capacity to rule China. He stopped just short of recognizing the Fengtian government, but it is clear the national order is breaking down. Losing more stability, losing more political power. Ling breaks free. Ling, a coalition of 2 of the former 8 provinces of the Eponymous League, seceded from both the agglomeration and our regime as a whole this morning under the command of scholar bureaucrat Chen Jiongming, backed up by the warlord Ma Ji. The provinces declared our government wholly illegitimate and promised a swift end to the autocratic and anachronistic monarchy. I don't want to get too into how my left Kuomintang campaign went, but those of you who have also seen my Yuan one know that I do not like this clique, and I'm just glad I'm here in the north so I don't have to deal with them for a while. Widespread rioting breaks out following Wu and Cao's silence on League of 8 Provinces related affairs. Small protests began to emerge, clamoring for intervention. As the silence continued, these gatherings quickly grew into large street protests, with Cao finally announcing he would support neither Qi, that's this one, or Chen. The protests erupted into riots. Beijing and other major cities are paralyzed by the unrest, and nearly everyone from the richest intellectual to the poorest street vendor are in the streets denouncing the government. Adding fuel to the fire are wild conspiracy theories that Wu was paid off by the German legation not to intervene, leading many demonstrators to carry anti-German slogans and burn German-made goods. In one instance, crude effigies of the Kaiser, Wu, and Cao were all burned outside the Forbidden City before the perpetrators were hauled away in chains. Damn it! So we now have... We're losing stability, losing political power again, but also we have widespread protests, which hurt our political power gain generally, and it's another -5. So we're about 6. We're at 6% stability now. Hunan secedes from the League. Looks just like the tricolor of the Griffonian Republic. Hunan province had fallen under the sway of Sun Chuangfang during the chaos following the 1927 Northern Expedition, with Governor Zhao Hengti reassuming control of the province after a brief period of KMT rule. A longtime ally of Wu, Zhao has been governor of the region since 1920. However, he also has ties to the federalist government, in quotations, in Guangxi, tacitly supporting the federal model. As of now, he has taken a strictly neutral stance, torn between his personal friendship to Wu and his political loyalties to Chen Jiongming. His neutrality, however, cannot last long. Already clouds are beginning to circle around his rule of the province. Hopefully Wu's old friend remains loyal, so we now have a non-aggression pact with them. They also have one with Ling Wang. Oh, whoops. And it just meant I got a little more political power. So we've done this correctly so far. It's not over yet. Still a lot more choices to make, but we're not going to do new elections or placating the assembly. We're going to deal with the unrest, which is a 140-day focus, but it can be done faster. You can kind of compare it to Poland's Great Debate, where it can end early depending on which path that you take. Yeah. Okay. Coming back here. Our decision to stay neutral in the League collapse has pleased nobody and angered everyone. We need to quickly suppress unrest before the situation becomes untenable. Decisions are available. Which ones? Oh, right, for this. Well, Wu is still running the show, so we're not going to do any anti-German stuff yet. Civil war in Sichuan. Sichuan province, long plagued by overpopulation and food shortages, has erupted into civil war ever since the 1927 restoration. Yang Sen, a close personal friend and ally of Wu Puifu, has ruled the province, but in the last few years his control began to slip. Various other factions loyal to the Fengtian regime, Kuomintang remnants, and isolationists loyal only to themselves began to consolidate power. And using the collapse of the League as the perfect moment to launch attacks on Yang's now shaky government, Yang has yet to reach out for us for direct aid, preferring to hide the scope of the unrest. Wu expects his old friend will come knocking for help any day. What's up now? Gallo seizes control of Ecuador. Every time, it seems. I haven't played Ecuador. Oh, they probably just opened up a new thing. Restoration democracy. Yeah! Things are great and they're always gonna be great. Yang Sen, speak of the devil, requests support. Dire news coming in from Chengdu. The tenuous peace in the region fell apart not long after the troubles in the League of Eight Provinces reached a boiling point, greatly diminishing the influence of the Sichuanese leader Yang Sen. The internal divisions in the clique have escalated into open conflict as the Chongqing warlord Liu Jiang, leader of the Industrial Corps, with its massive force and manpower and firepower alike, has begun to march on Yang's forces. For now, at least, Yang's allies in the Baoding department under Deng Zhiyuo remain, but even that is an uncertainty as the situation spirals further out of control with every passing day. With the current chaos in Sichuan, it can't be ruled out that a prolonged conflict where both sides exhaust their strength could lead to the remnants of the KMT under Liu Chao seizing the moment to reverse their old misfortunes. As if that wasn't enough, persistent droughts have hit hard Sichuan's already struggling people. With disaster looming, our old friend Yang has reached out to us pleading that we offer any support we may muster. While the consequences of a defeat for Yang could prove severe for us in the future, we have our own crises in light of the situation in Nanjing. So what we're going to tell them... I'm actually not 100% sure if this decision matters in terms of getting rid of Wu Peifu. I think... Oh, man. You know what? I'm going to do a cut here, just so I can make a backup save file. Alright, so I thought about it, and we're going to say we can't spare anything right now, so that they're just... Wu Peifu is not helping his friends, and so that's going to come back and cost him later. I'll check that out, which is which in my own time. Got the Pius the 11th. Yeah, so we're just gonna keep getting events, though different certain events dealing with the unrest. We're trying to do a self-coup, what do they say it? An auto-gulp? Or something like that? Yeah, I think so. An auto-coup, because it's a self-coup. Okay. Yep. And I just know that term from, Alberto Fujimori, who I think is one of the most fascinating figures of the 20th century that you've never heard of. He was the guy who was president of Peru, and in 1992 he couped his own government, or by which I mean he dissolved the Congress and the judicial branch, so he would have full powers, which was interesting because I don't want to get too into the history of Peru while I'm playing a Chinese game, but I think it had something like an over 80% approval rating. Like, people were marching in the streets praising Fujimori for doing it, and there was a lot of internal issue. I'm not taking a side on this, but basically the country was in a very dire strait economically and with domestic terrorism and stuff. Anyway, so like a self-coup is what we're trying to do here. We're gonna coup Wu and keep Puyi in charge. Lindbergh of the East. A young pilot named Sun Tonggang has earned great renown for flying across Eurasia in his custom self-built aircraft. With the recent upheavals within the League, he has volunteered to serve our nation as a pilot, destroying our enemies from the skies. Originally based in Nanjing, he has fled the chaos currently enveloping the city for our territory in this small plane. So we get political power off that, and a flying ace. Let's go find him. Where is he? I don't see him here. Am I missing something? Are there some other planes I'm not aware of? Oh, right, research. Mechanical computing, yeah? Jeez, we're so deep in the hole. Oh, What's happening? You guys saw that it kind of got slow there for a second, right? Okay, so this just looks like a mess. Anqing clique is okay. Well, the left KMT and the Anqing clique are now at war with one another. They are bordering, but it looks like a total mess. Let's just do whispers of discontent, and we'll call it a day. In the weeks following Wu's decision not to intervene in the LEP collapse, small groups from across the political spectrum began to gather in secret. Initially limited to criticizing Wu's inaction, the worsening violence in the streets led many to bring up revolt. Social networks between these groups have allowed a shaky coalition to develop, comprised of Manchu nobles, cadets at the Baoding Academy, reformers in the Nsierra, and some Zhili generals annoyed at Wu's inaction. This loose group has begun to speak clandestinely with one another, and plot to overthrow Wu and restore the emperor to some degree of power. Keep an eye on this. Do we need to, though? Do we really need to? I can't wait to unite China as Qing, if for no other reason than I love the color blue. Armament Department seeks asylum. The Civil War in Sichuan. Oh, wait, no, I said that was going to be it for the day. So, thank you very much for joining me. I'm Conquering History Games. I'll see you all in the next episode where we're going to, I think, trigger the Manchu restoration. Hopefully, I have not messed that up. See you then.